Hello everyone, welcome back to Sky World. Liam Lawson reveals Lightswitch moment in Red Bull F1 dream. Liam Lawson has revealed the moment at which he realized he has the required skills and mettle to be a Formula One driver. The Kiwi driver has secured a full-time race seat at Red Bull for F1 2025 and will be a likely contender for podiums and even victories in his first full season of Formula One. Liam Lawson. Zandvoort proved it to myself. Lawson has had two short runs of being an F1 driver in the past 2 seasons, with his initial debut coming when he got the call-up to replace the injured Daniel Ricciardo at the then AlphaTauri at the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix. The summons came at extremely short notice, with Lawson replacing Ricciardo after Friday's action, and tricky weather conditions meant the Kiwi was up against it for his debut race in Formula One. But Lawson, who had just returned from a Super Formula round at Motegi, handled himself well to deliver a solid result as he raced the 13th at the first time of asking, including an enjoyable scrap with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who was struggling with floor damage. Getting the opportunity to replace Ricciardo for 5 races, Lawson produced a stellar race in Singapore to take 9th place in his 3rd race, one of the most physically and mentally exhausting events on the calendar. Lawson went back to life on the sidelines after Ricciardo's return and had to sit out most of the 2024 season, as well as the Carb squad stuck with its driver lineup. But with Ricciardo continuing to struggle, Lawson eventually got his opportunity, as Red Bull opted to replace Ricciardo outright after the Singapore Grand Prix. Just weeks later, Lawson was confirmed as stepping up to the Red Bull racing team as Max Verstappen's teammate, a rapid ascension and one that will be a huge test for the unproven rookie. But fazed by the challenge, Lawson is not. Speaking in an exclusive interview with PlanetF1.com, Lawson was asked about his confidence levels after just reaching double-digit figures in terms of races competed in, and whether he had the light switch moment of realizing he has the skills to be a Formula One driver. After all, no matter how much sim work a driver does, or how competitive one may be in another leading series like Super Formula, there is a huge difference between testing or driving an F1 car against the challenge of being a full-on top-level F1 racing driver. Yeah, potentially. But if anything, it's before you drive, he said. It's not something that happens in the car. I think, for me, it would have been at Zandvoort when I first drove and competed in a Grand Prix. I would say it's immediate, right from the start of the race. When you're battling other cars, you just know. Mentally, as a driver, we do all the preparation beforehand, but the moment the lights go out, you slip into a mindset that's the same whether I'm racing in Formula One or competing in a go-kart race back in New Zealand. It's the same mindset that you have when you're in a race. I would say that hasn't changed from when I was a kid. I always felt like I was capable of being a Formula One driver. A key trait that Red Bull personnel often highlight about Liam Lawson is his unwavering self-confidence, a characteristic he shares with his new teammate, Max Verstappen. Although he's still building his F1 track record, Lawson shared his thoughts on where the self-confidence stems from. I think it's something you're either born with or you're not, he said. I feel lucky that I was born with it, and I've always had that belief, he continued. Whether you're fighting in the midfield or at the front, to be honest, it's really no different. As a driver, the goal is always to achieve the best possible performance in a race weekend. In qualifying, it's about delivering the best lap you can. Whether you're in a top team or a midfield one, you can only push the car so far up the grid. But as long as you finish the lap feeling like you've done the best job you could, then the result will be what it is. Looking back at Qatar, he explained, for example, in qualifying there, especially in sprint qualifying, I honestly feel like I did the best job I could. But then in Brazil, when it was wet and I found myself in the top 5, it shows how quickly things can change.